What's up, guys? It's John Dominique, the Soul Proponent. Today, I want to talk about the pursuit. And what I mean about the pursuit is like the way or the path, the technique or the method of spiritual awakening. And I say this pretty often, but it's kind of true. The way to go about the path is a process of elimination. So we're not going to actually look for anything. It's a matter of undoing the need to look, to search. Because it's very tricky and very subtle. The identity of ego personality, which is the enemy, our attachment to this identity, the same attitude that we go about our usual way of life, reaching, grabbing, trying to control things, judging. If we go about this path in that usual way, we'll only end up strengthening the ego and making things worse. The path is more like a letting go and undoing, a releasing of tension, releasing of the need to pursue or search or seek or to control or judge. And then applying non-attachment towards the need to not pursue or seek or judge or control. So it's very tricky. And we have to, this is not like an intellectual exercise. The pursuit is more experiential, it's more internal in our own consciousness and our own awareness, and we have to apply the techniques and practice them in our own experience and see how they actually work. We have to get really intimate. We have to get very honest. It's radical. It's not something on the surface. Sometimes you might read a book, for instance, and think, yeah, I got the basic idea of it, but until you read that book at its depth and continue to read it multiple times over and over, there's going to be multiple angles that you might not have seen before, you might not have thought before, and you're going to see new things on the successive readings afterwards. It's just the nature of truth. It's a tallness, an up and downness. It's not a left and right. So the intellectual mind is kind of linear, but the pursuit, the path to the soul, is more up and down. It's like a vertical versus a horizontal way of thinking and being. This is very counterintuitive. It's the direct antagonist to this identity of ego personality and its attachments and its tendencies and its compulsions, its fixations. This is a loosening and a letting go of the foundation, the security, what makes the ego personality comfortable. The ego personality does not go out without a fight. And we have to notice that in ourselves. We have to notice the resistance. Part of the pursuit is doing the work to notice our resistances, notice our compulsions, notice our fixations. And at the beginning, it's not going to do much good. It's just going to see, you're just almost in a way just going to see how stuck and how bad the ego is resisting and how difficult the path is. But that's the beginning, and we have to be aware of that and accept that in its entirety without trying to struggle against it. So just to begin the pursuit, we have to have a twist in our mentality, in our attitude, in our approach, in the way we go about it. The method is like non-attachment, and then applying non-attachment to non-attachment. So on an intellectual level, like logically speaking, we can see where that will get us. If we practice non-attachment and then apply the practice of non-attachment to the practice of non-attachment, you can see that that leads to freedom. But just talking about it does not actually do the job. It's more an experiential understanding. So the pursuit is not using reason and logic and mathematics. I mean, all that is good. I'm not trying to say that none of that is useful. It is to a point. But where it gets really tricky is that sometimes we're not paying attention enough, and we don't see that we're actually unconsciously attached to all, to reason, logic, the thinking process. Those compulsions are unconscious. We don't know that we're using this idea or this concept of an identity to hold on to a fixated sense of ourselves so we can survive. That's not a thing that we usually think about as we're living our lives. It's very subtle. It's in the background. But we have to pay attention to it all the time, because that's the enemy. And without knowing the enemy, we can't know God. So the pursuit is largely a practice, an ongoing study, as I talked about in my video of self-study. And we just have to continue to practice and get better at noticing, maybe taking an aim to notice all the ways that we're attaching, that we're fixated, that we're acting on our obsessions. It takes a long time, and it can, if we don't have the space or the motivation to do it, then maybe we shouldn't even attempt. It might be better not to even attempt the path if we're not motivated sincerely in our hearts, because it's a test of the heart. We have to purify our hearts, and all of the compulsions and the obsessions, if any, we have to be 100% clean. We have to purify ourselves, clarify ourselves. If there's any instinct in there to want to survive or to turn our backs and do something else, or because we're trying to reach some type of ideal we think would be good in the future, that's not going to work. It's going to make things worse. It's going to build the personality, the strength of the personality, and it's just going to entrench ourselves deeper. It's very tricky, but there's a path, and that's what I'm talking about in this video, the pursuit. There's a pursuit, and there's a way to go about it. And I'm here to help people find out what this pursuit is not, what it is and what is not. And I hope this video is useful to someone somewhere. John Dominique, the Soul Proponent.